G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome to the patch 1.75 dev server, which of course means La Resistance. This is the French tank tree, as it has been entered into War Thunder with this patch. I know it seems a little bit odd, we got 2 premiums for the Italian tree last patch, and then they've dropped the full French tree this patch, but with no additional Italian tanks. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe it's just easier to model a French reverse gear than it is to set the matchmaker up so the Italians can change teams halfway through a match. But anyway, bad puns aside, how is the French tree? Well, it's surprisingly French, which may sound like an odd thing to say, but there was a while there where France was actually taken out of World War II. You can be forgiven for expecting that ranks sort of 2, 3, 4, maybe even some rank 5 would be a large number of American or British or foreign vehicles to make up for the lack of production in that time frame. However, there's really not all that many. There's an M10 because just about everybody's got an M10 or some variation of an M10 at this point in time, I think. And there's a couple of Shermans, which again, I think everybody has a Sherman at this point. That's it. In total, there's about 4 vehicles that are not actually French design in the French tree, which is not bad. There is a couple of odd things I've noticed. For example, the AMX-13 starts at rank 3 and proceeds all the way to rank 6, slowly just getting larger guns and eventually hot missiles. The French medium tank line terminates with the Lorraine 40T and the AMX-30 1972 at battle rating 7.7. The interesting part here is it terminates at rank 5, not at rank 6. So the AMX-30 is likely going to receive something after that, which for a tank that's 1972 built is actually kind of interesting. The French heavy tank line terminates at rank 3 with the M4A3E2. This is unsurprising. French heavy tanks were not really a major thing, although at rank 2 the B1 Biz is there, which is good because I find that tank amusing as hell. The French anti-aircraft line, I guess we'll call it, isn't really a line. It consists of one vehicle. It's the CCKW 353 anti-air, which is basically a French flatbed with a Bofors gun attached. So not exactly the most exciting thing around. Now, the tank destroyer line is a little bit more interesting. We've got a couple of odd designs in here, but it's where the line ends that interests me the most. It terminates in rank 5 with the AMX-50 Foch. It's basically a really angry Jagdpanther with a 120mm gun. And, well, when I drove it in World Tanks, it was fantastic fun, and I don't see it being any less fun here. Now, of course, you'll notice in the background by now, or at least I hope you've noticed, there is actually some gameplay going. Everything I'm fighting here is just bots. I'm just playing around with some of the reserve and low-end tanks at the moment. Now, clearly, I will not be reviewing any vehicles while they're on the test server, so this is just observations that are subject to change, but I do think the French tree is going to be a little bit difficult to get into, at least when you first start out. Now, I should be clear here, I only had a chance to test a couple of the tank designs, and this is because, well, the majority of the French tree isn't actually available, even on the dev server. Currently, the reserve tanks are available to play, and a small number of the premiums are also available to play, one of which I have on screen right now. This is the H39 Cambronne, I think is the correct pronunciation. I've probably got that wrong. This is the only premium that I have access to at this point in time, and it was available to play. And I did see in one of the matches a B1 Tur, which is a battle rating 2.3 premium vehicle that I don't personally have, but I did see one of those driving around as well, so clearly that one is functional. The rest are not available to research in the dev server, they were not available to purchase for gold in the dev server, and they were not available to test drive. So at the moment you could only look at them on the menus, and I didn't do much recording in that because, well, honestly, I found about the dev server a little bit late due to some personal things going on at this end. By the time I got my client updated and actually got on to do a couple of matches and a little bit of recording, the whole thing was just about ready to shut down. I am going to try and get on the next one, and hopefully more vehicles will be available. But my opinion so far, what I'm trying to get back to here, is what I've had a chance to look at are only the very earliest vehicles in the game, and they all seem to have a very similar theme. They all seem to be reasonably well armoured, definitely of all the nations that currently have tanks in the more armoured category for low tier vehicles. They all seem to be extremely agile. The tanks manoeuvre extremely well, but none of them are incredibly fast. You know, top speeds 15 to 20 kilometers an hour, practical speeds on maps overall. Nothing faster than that, some quite a bit slower, but extremely agile. They can move, they can turn, they can rotate their position very quickly, and all of them have absolutely garbage guns. Now, this isn't a review here, but I am going to go over the H39 in particular just to give you an idea of exactly what I mean. The H39 is rank 1, battle rating 1.3, so it's a premium vehicle that is almost reserve tier, but not quite. Now, it has an issue on its stat card from the menu. It's listed as having a 75mm gun. It doesn't. It has a 37mm gun. It has a 7.5mm machine gun. Now, I think it's pretty safe to chalk that one up to a typo, and I will show you the accurate shells in just a moment. Turret rotation speed, 11 degrees per second, that's not bad. Vertical guidance, we've got 13 degrees of gun depression and 20 degrees of gun elevation. This is pretty good numbers. This thing can hull down very well, it can definitely work the turret. And reload time of 7.8 seconds, that's really good. In fact, it's worth noting that my French crew has 0 points spent on their crew capability whatsoever. So that is a 7.8 second flat rate, and from there, as your crew improves, that's going to reduce. Hull armor, 40mm on the front, 40mm on the sides, 40mm on the rear, 45 to the front of the turret, 40 on sides and rear. This is damn good armor, especially for a battle rating 1.3 tank. 40mm flat, and then you angle, you're going to be bouncing shots for days in this thing. And, well, you can see some of me bouncing shots right here in this video. As much as it is only the AI shooting, it's not hard. We'll skip armor penetration on the gun for the moment. 12.1 tons, 120 horsepower, 36 kilometers an hour max speed. In truth, it's closer to about 20 to 25 at maximum. We'll get up a 41 degree slope, however, so it's got a really steep angle of climb, and you've seen it driving around. You see how maneuverable it is on the ground. It's quite nimble, able to easily work corners and work the flanks. It's very good in all of these areas. And then we come to the gun. So, this is the shell that this tank fires. And I'd like to be clear on this, this is the only shell that this tank fires. It has no alternate ammunition. There is no HE filled ammunition, there is no HE shell. This is it. It's a solid APC shot. It has no explosive filler. 705 meters per second on velocity. At 10 meters on flat armor, it has 47 millimeters of penetration at best. And those numbers drop off rapidly against angles, getting down to a well-angled tank with about 30 degrees on the armor, 21 millimeters of pen at best. 44 millimeters against flat at 100 meters. At 500 meters, you get it down to 37, and honestly, with the velocity of the gun beyond 500 meters, you're not going to be hitting anything with any form of reliability to make usage of the 28 millimeters or less as you get further away that the gun is actually going to have. The gun is crap. To be able to effectively take out even the AI tanks in this, you had to use the mobility of the vehicle to flank the AI and shoot them in the sides and rear. And even then, you've seen a couple of times in this video, this gun being just slightly too far away and bouncing off the side armor of German reserve vehicles. This seems to be the flavour of all of the early French tanks that I've seen so far. The H35 is just like the H39. The AMX-34YR is just the same as the H35. They're very well armoured, they're reasonably mobile, they're reasonably fast, they all have garbage guns. Even the B1, the B1's gun is awful. For a 2.3 battle rating tank, it has damn near more armour than a KV-1. It is amazing. It's also slow as a wet week, and it has a gun that I believe on its top shell at best can get through 64mm of armour at 10 meters. It's actually going to be one of those amusing tanks because if two, especially in arcade where same nation can actually face one another, because if two B1s encounter themselves on a battlefield, it's quite possible, just looking at the way their armour is laid out, that neither tank will actually be able to kill the other or even penetrate the other tank. It could lead to some fun situations. But yeah, it seems to be the running list for the French tree. Now it starts to change at about the end of rank 2, where there's a couple of American vehicles that come in, the M10, the M4A1 in particular, and then as you step into to rank 3 and get access to the first of the AMX, which is the AMX 13 FL11, and the first of the M4A4s and the E2, you start running into machines that have a lot more power behind them, but they are starting to sacrifice armor. Well, maybe not the E2, but it is starting to go that way. And from there on in, you start getting some really decent guns. So, anyways, the tree itself is fairly bare bones. You can sort of see a theme running through it. I'm looking forward to actually being able to test some of these tanks out. I've been holding a little bit of gold on my account for some time in anticipation that this test server would be coming up, and that I would have the time to get on it, so that I can actually buy and practically use some of these vehicles prior to release to have a look at for you guys. So, hopefully I will be able to get into the next test server and some more vehicles will be available. Hope you've enjoyed this brief preview here, guys. Until next time, click that like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, drive smart, drive safe, and I'll catch you on the battlefield.